all the way from Moscow. Now we move on to our next news. The U.S. government shutdown has entered its fourth week, marking the second longest in history. As Congress remains at an impasse, federal workers, including 63,000 air traffic controllers and TSA agents, are bracing for missed paychecks. The shutdown is causing growing concerns for air safety, with significant delays already reported due to staffing shortages. The Federal Aviation Administration recently issued a group ground stop at 2 airports in Houston, citing staffing issues. Meanwhile, Democrats and Republicans remain locked in a dispute over funding and health insurance subsidies, with no resolution in sight. As the stalemate drags on, Senate Republicans are under increasing pressure to adjust the rule to pass a funding resolution, though Democrats have vowed to block the measure. The shutdown is continuing to cripple essential services, and its effects are being felt across the nation. Now for this discussion, we welcome Rabinder Sachdev. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this news, what's going on with U.S. government? Has partisanship made this government ungovernable? And what do you think about what should U.S. government prioritize now?
Well, not the U.S. government, but the U.S. politicians must prioritize now to, come to a mutual agreement. Because it's when the politicians come together, that is the U.S. Congress comes together, releases the budget, that the U.S. government can function, right? The money is allocated to the various arms of the U.S. government.
Yes.
Now, so the thing which has to be done is that the Republicans and Democrats have to sit down and hammer out a bill on which they are both absolutely tooth and nail opposed to each other. Also, in some ways, it gives, President Trump. Now, why is this all happening? Other than, of course, the issue of the spending limits, the health insurance limits, and such. This gives Donald Trump, I think, also a chance to lay off some federal employees down the line. Because right now, many of the employees are either work from home or are not supposed to come into the office. So with these employees absent, to what extent can the federal government run? I think that's also one thesis that Donald Trump is testing out. But yes, what it means is that public services will suffer, many of them. But especially air travel is one public service which is very visible, right? People at airports, flights getting delayed and all. It's something which you see it which is there in your face.
Yes.
Other services are also being curtailed, many of them, but they're not so visible. So air travel is perhaps the number one visibility of the shutdown right now.
Yes, and are American workers and public safety, are they being sacrificed? Should they show up to work for political leverage? And can bipartisan compromise still exist in Washington's polarized climate?
Sure. Yeah, Washington is very, very much polarized, absolutely. But at some point of time, they will have to come to a consensus between the Republicans and Democrats to pass the budget bills. Now, till what time would they, kind of extend, delay, or hold off? We just don't know. And given Trump and the way his decisions are, he might stake out for a long-term shutdown. He may say, okay, it doesn't matter. But it could matter to him because public will get affected. And once again, let's say, take an example of the air travel industry. Right now, you see, it's not only a matter of air traffic controllers are less in number reporting to duty or are overburdened or tired, could make mistakes. It is also because airlines is a very regulation and safety driven industry. There have to be regular maintenance checks, there have to be regular safety checks, regular certifications and trainings which should be going on. With time, those are quote unquote non-essential services, so they are being halted, and which will further lead to even more delays. So coming weeks, we could see air travel in America getting even more problematic and troublesome and delayed, and people being harried as a result of the shutdown. That would be one impact that we can see.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Sir Ravinder Sachdev, for sharing that insight as an international affairs expert. Now we move on to our next news. Protesters in Chicago have confronted Gregory Bovino, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection commander, on Wednesday morning. Bovino was on patrol with dozens of agents when a car crashed. While waiting for police, protesters shouted insults and demanded agents remove their masks. Two protesters claimed an agent sprayed a substance out of his vehicle window as the convoy left the scene. Tensions in Chicago have been high as the Trump administration increases immigration enforcement efforts, arresting immigrants without criminal records. A federal judge in Chicago has questioned immigration officials this week about the use of tear gas and forceful tactics against protesters. Let's in fact listen in to some of the protesters.
Somebody was talking to them, and then they might have hit the window. Like the officer sticked out his hand and he sprayed them. So obviously the wind kind of got it towards my face. So
way they shot it out the window, and then with the wind it just came towards us. And I saw when they sprayed, so I turned around.
Now we stay in the region.